Welcome to Earth Archives. When it comes to buildings built by humans with huge stones, you should probably think of the Great Pyramid of Giza in ancient Egypt. A single stone weighing 2 tons is difficult to move even today, but in older times, on the other side of the Mediterranean Sea in Baalbek, Lebanon, 6 incredibly huge stones appeared in the Roman building complex, even weighing close to 1,700 tons. What is going on? Today we are going to talk about this unsolvable mystery. Before the show starts, please help share and subscribe to the Earth Archives channel. Thank you. Baalbek, Lebanon, is the site of one of the most mysterious ruins of the Roman Empire, a monumental 2,000-year-old temple to Jupiter that sits atop 3,000-ton stone blocks. The pillars of Stonehenge weigh about a 40th of that. The blocks originated in a nearby limestone quarry, where a team from the German Archaeological Institute, in partnership with Jeanine Abdul Massih, of Lebanese University, recently discovered what they are calling the largest stone block from antiquity, weighing 1,650 tons and matching those that support the temple. Its provenance is more shadowy than one might expect of a £3 million megalith. Nobody seems to know on whose orders it was cut, or why, or how it came to be abandoned. Baalbek is named for Baal, the Phoenician deity, although the Romans knew the site by its Greek name, Heliopolis. The historian Del Upton has noted the unusual lack of documentation regarding who might have commissioned, paid for, or designed the temple. For Upton, the site is a metaphor for the role of imaginative distortion in architectural history. In the absence of concrete information, he writes, Baalbek has become a very accommodating screen upon which to project strikingly varied stories. There are many local legends about the origin of the temple. Cain built it to hide from the wrath of God. Giants built it, at Nimrod's command, and it came to be called the Tower of Babel. Solomon built it, with Jinn's assistance, as a palace for the Queen of Sheba. It is said that the reason some blocks were left in the quarry is that the Jinns went on strike. Testimony to Baalbek's flummoxing properties can be found in the 1860 diary of the Scottish traveller David Urquhart, whose mental capacities were paralysed by the impossibility of any solution. Urquhart devotes several pages to the riddles posed by the giant stones, so enormous as to shut out every other thought, and yet to fill the mind only with trouble. What, for example, was the point of cutting such enormous rocks? And why drew it out there in the middle of nowhere, instead of in a capital or a port? Why were there no other sites that looked like Baalbek? And why had the work been abandoned midway? Urquhart concludes that the temple must have been built by contemporaries of Noah, using the same technological prowess that enabled the construction of the Ark. Work was halted because of the flood, which swept away all the similar sites, leaving the enigma of Baalbek alone on the face of the earth. Scholars today like to laugh at Urquhart, particularly at his alleged belief that mastodons transported the stones. But archaeologists are still trying to solve the riddles that he posed. Marguerite van Es, a professor from the German Archaeological Institute, that the purpose of the investigation that turned up the new stone block was precisely to ascertain how the 3 temple blocks were transported, and why 2 others like them were left in the quarry. One of these previously discovered megaliths, known as the Hajar al-Hibla, or Stone of the Pregnant Woman, turned out to have a crack that would have impeded its transport. Van Es added that the blocks were probably cut in much the same way as the masonry used in the Pont du Gard, a Roman aqueduct in southern France, with each piece split from a larger expanse of limestone along natural fissures between the rock strata. Too heavy to lift, the blocks would then have been dragged from the quarry, probably using a capstan, a kind of human-driven winch, though the possibility of a sledge is also under discussion. According to Van Es, the Temple of Jupiter was definitely built by the Romans, in at least 4 phases. Construction began around 15 BC, when the region first became a Roman province. The last remodeling would have taken place at the beginning of the 3rd century AD. Some non-Roman features, including water basins in front of the temple, and very high altars, suggest that the temple might have been used for local religious traditions, in addition to the Roman rites. The stones for the 2nd phase of Jupiter Temple are especially remarkable because of their extraordinary size. For the podium of the temples, stones were cut up to 20 meters in length and 4 meters high, which weighed about 1,000 tons each. The transport of those stones to the temple is a reason why people admired this sanctuary. The Trilithon, which consists of 2 large stones supporting a third, was mentioned as a remarkable feature in ancient texts. Today, it's the gigantic dimension of the ensemble that attracts people most. These foundation stones, particularly those of the Trilithon, are one of the great mysteries of the ancient world. It's unknown how these heavy blocks, more than 10 times the weight of the individual blocks which make up the Great Pyramid at Giza, were lifted into place. The uphill slant of the mound rules out carts, levers and pulleys. The enormous size and weight of the stones, archaeologists recently found a fourth, even larger one buried nearby, has led to some interesting local legends about their origins, including that they were used by Solomon for a palace for the Queen of Sheba, or that they were left lying unused due to the biblical flood. Majlul says, there are even still large blocks lying around as though they are going to be used, prepared blocks for the foundations of a new podium around Jupiter Temple, like an ongoing project with bits lying around the city. The 3 stones that seem otherworldly are termed Trilithon. Each of these large stones alone weighs around 750 tons, 680 tons. While the Trilithon was used to create the Jupiter Baal temple by the Romans, it is possible that the stones existed in the Middle East years ago during the construction of the temple. Historians think the stones may be older than the time of Alexander the Great, the founder of Heliopolis in 334 BC. Apart from the 3 stones that make up the temple's base, another stone is the largest of the group found inside the temple. How the stones were moved to Baalbek is not clear, but historians believe that the Roman masons or some other people who date back further than the Romans moved the massive stones from the quarry. Not only did the planners plan successfully to move the stones intact from the quarry, but to lift the stones onto smaller stones that were laid to create the foundation. The largest stone at Baalbek is called the Stone of the Pregnant Woman and weighs around 1,200 tons, 1,088 tons, more than 3 Boeing 747s together. How the ancient masons could move the stones from the quarry and lift them to considerable height is still not clear. It is clear, however, that it was no easy task, and we need look no further than the quarry itself. Here a great 4th stone lies, abandoned. It would seem that this last great stone was far too heavy for anyone to lift. Today, the stone stands proud of its surroundings, a great angular outline jutting from the earth. Baalbek legends. What can we piece together about these stones, and the city at Baalbek? The masons and stone movers of the bygone era clearly planned to move such a huge stone from the quarry, and must have felt that this was possible. The stone at Baalbek is only proof of the engineering technology and manpower the ancient planners used to move stones of such scale, something that even today's engineers cannot confidently achieve. Unfortunately, little evidence remains of how they were moved, and most assume the traditional approach of massive manpower and some kind of roller system must have been used. How they were lifted entirely off the ground, however, remains a mystery. The area in Baalbek where the stone is found is also where you can find artifacts that relate to Persian culture, the Bronze Age and back as far as the Neolithic period. This area was long settled, and it can be assumed that the masons knew their stone, and how to work it. Many other more speculative theories have sprung up. For example, many believe the Nephilim, which probably survived from a mythology before Judaism, constructed Heliopolis's temple. According to this narrative, the temple was later destroyed by the Great Flood that eradicated the giants too. Or perhaps it is aliens, using advanced technology to shift these stones, which would presumably be a doddle next to interplanetary travel. According to the Bible, the first city here was built by Nimrod, who ordered the giants to construct the temple. However, one common belief in all these legends and myths is that people believe this is a task that no human could achieve, and only supernatural or highly advanced beings could do. Many people also believe that this temple was original for the Tower of Babel. Others believe that the temple was the oldest building in the world and was constructed by the fratricidal son of Adam, Cain. Some people believe that the site and its buildings date back to as far as 9,000 years ago. If the timeline is correct, it would challenge the literalist interpreters of the Bible who maintain the Earth is only 6,000 years old, although the replacement theory is hardly less fantastical. The tale of Genesis and the site's ancient roots are also connected to an Atlantis-type civilization who worked with giants and aliens from the antediluvian period, the time before the flood. Some historians believe that the buildings and the Temple of Baalbek were constructed during the time of the ancient empire of the Assyrian dynasty, which is believed to exist during the Atlantis era. Many such legends are linked with the stones of Baalbek, and they could have been moved with the help of engineering techniques and knowledge that only the ancient people knew about. Advanced technology? Well, maybe, but it seems clear that, advanced as we are, the ancients still knew a thing or two that we don't.